Well folks, the Royal Rumble's coming up very soon. Many fans consider it one of the more entertaining of the Big Four pay-per-views because of its famous match type of the same name that almost always delivers big surprises. But while there are many positive memories around the legendary match and its long list of competitors, there lies a stranger side to it. For every memorable entrant who's graced the squared circle in the 30-man war, there are lots of others who lasted about as long in our collective consciousness as a fart in a hurricane. In fact, for many of them, the Royal Rumble match is their only experience working for the company. So as we begin to speculate as to whether or not your favorite unsigned star is going to make their big debut in 2 weeks, spoiler alert, they aren't, I'm going to rank them the top 8 most obscure Royal Rumble participants in history. Karma, 2012. Though the ladies have their own Rumble match these days, there was a very long period of time when that match was just for the dudes, with some notable exceptions. Back in 1999, Chyna became the first woman to take part in the Rumble match at number 30. There wouldn't be another female in the match until 11 years later when Beth Phoenix entered at number 6 in 2010. But someone who often slips through the cracks when talking about these outliers is Karma, the former Awesome Kong. Though her brief time in WWE ended abruptly in 2011 due to a surprise pregnancy, she came back for a final appearance in the 2012 Rumble match, entering at number 21. After scaring Michael Cole out of the ring and forcibly ejecting Hunico, a wild Vicky Guerrero distraction allowed Dolph Ziggler to eliminate the future welfare queen. I have a couple theories as to why Karma's historical footnotes often overlooked in favor of Chyna and Phoenix's. One has to do with her blink and you miss it run, the fact the other two women simply did more in the company to be talked about. The other has to do with the fact that her appearance in that year's match wasn't even the strangest thing about it. Ricardo Rodriguez, 2012. Like I said, the 2012 Rumble's one of those matches that was so weird they'd probably like it if you forgot all about it. Not only did Karma make her appearance, fans also saw each member of the announce team, Jerry Lawler, Booker T, and yes, Michael Cole, get up from their desk to enter the Rumble match. Furthermore, the winner of that year's match was Sheamus after he took out a returning Chris Jericho, which I still call bullshit on to this day. Jericho should have won, damn it. But how about the man who came in at number 8? After trolling the fans by playing the theme of the recently injured Alberto Del Rio, out came Bert's personal ring announcer Ricardo Rodriguez, sporting his boss's ring gear and scarf, all while driving an affordable alternative to Alberto's car of choice. After helping McFoley eliminate Justin Gabriel, Rodriguez was himself taken out by Santino Marella, which is either a career highlight or low light depending on your perspective. Rodriguez wrestled very rarely on the main roster and was never taken seriously, so this was more of a comedy spot, one during a year which some might say there were already a couple too many to begin with. Carlos Colon, 1993. Our next entrant is the Daddy of Cool, and I don't mean Big Daddy Cool. There are few people as synonymous with particular territories as Carlos Colon is with Puerto Rico. Since the 1970s, Colon's had a monopoly on professional wrestling in the Shining Star of the Caribbean, with Capital Sport Promotions and the World Wrestling Council, never needing to venture far from home to make his fortune, which makes his appearance in Royal Rumble history all the more perplexing. Fast forward to January 1993 in Sacramento, California, when the former unofficial NWA World Champion entered the Rumble at number 24. Based on the audience's reaction to his arrival, the announcers seemed to be the only ones in the building who knew who he was.
It is Carlos Colon, the Caribbean champion!
I mean, sure, Northern California is just a hotbed for fans of Puerto Rico wrestling. The 45-year-old veteran, who was described by Gorilla Monsoon as a youngster, managed to eliminate Damien Demento, another obscure wrestler in his own right, before being dumped out by eventual winner Yokozuna. Colon's performance in the Rumble has to be a contender for the longest break in between matches with the company, as his last appearance before this was in 1978. Genichiro Tenryu, 1993 and 1994. While not a household name in the United States, Tenryu has a rich history in his native Japan, debuting in 1976 and gaining a wave of accolades in both tag team and singles categories, including the All Japan Triple Crown Championship, the IWGP Heavyweight and Tag Championships, and Tokyo Sports Matches of the Year with Stan Hansen in 1988, Hulk Hogan in 1991, and his retirement match with Kazuchika Okada in 2015, the same year he received their Lifetime Achievement Award. Talk about going out on top. During his tenure with Super World of Sports in the early 90s, a working relationship with the WWF led to Tenryu making sporadic appearances for the company. One of his most notable appearances for stateside programming was at WrestleMania 7 in 1991, when he and Koji Katao defeated Demolition. He would appear later in the year on an episode of Primetime Wrestling, when he stoically sat through Bobby Heenan's casual racism before giving him his comeuppance.
Oh, you like rice? Rizzo. Hey!
Tenryu would then appear at both the 93 and 94 Royal Rumbles, and actually had a storyline reason for appearing the second time around. Yokozuna's manager Mr. Fuji hired him and the Great Kabuki as mercenaries to ensure that Lex Luger wouldn't win the Rumble, only to fail. Well, halfway fail, I guess. Despite spending a combined half hour across his 2 Rumble matches, Tenryu was unable to score a single elimination. Hiroki Sumi, Babatunde, and Dan Matha, the greatest Royal Rumble. For our next entry, we travel to the beautiful, progressive tourism city of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Thank you. The event was the greatest Royal Rumble from 2018, a 50-man behemoth of a match that Braun Strowman eventually won. And when you need that many bodies, you're going to need to reach pretty deep into your bag of ideas. The story goes, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman requested several specific names to appear at the inaugural event, including former WWF champion Yokozuna. This, however, was impossible due to a minor case of death on the part of Rodney Anoa'i back in 2001. As a form of compromise, WWE brought in retired sumo wrestler Hiroki Sumi, who was eliminated by Mark Henry faster than you could Google, "Who is Hiroki Sumi?" They also brought in some NXT talent to round out the herd, which included Tucker Knight of Heavy Machinery, Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era, and Babatunde, a 6'10" former football player who's been with the Performance Center since 2016, but at this time hasn't been seen on TV before or since this match. The final Yellow Brand participant was Dan Matha, who's known for... I'm sorry, I couldn't find anything on this guy. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. I guess I could just go on his Twitter and see what he's all about. Dick Murdoch, 1995. A staple of the NWA during the 1970s and 80s, Dick Murdoch was a big, beefy, allegedly racist hoss of a man who won championship gold everywhere he went. After spending several years in the Florida and Mid-South territories, he spent a year in the World Wrestling Federation in the early 1980s, where he'd hold the tag titles with Adrian Adonis for about 9 months before returning to the National Wrestling Alliance. We jump ahead to the 1995 Royal Rumble, when Murdoch would make a surprise appearance in the match at number 27. Historically, 27 is a very lucky number to draw, as Steve Austin, Yokozuna, John Studd, and Bret Hart have all won the match at that slot, but Dirty Dick wouldn't be as fortunate. He had a decent showing, however, eliminating both the Smoking Guns and lasting a little over 5 minutes before being taken out by Henry Godwinn. Murdoch was able to have a strong showing in his last WWF match before his death 1 year later at the age of 49. The AAA Luchadores, 1997. From the 1990s right up until today, we've seen Vince McMahon be open to working with other companies to help expand both their audiences. In 1997, the World Wrestling Federation reached an agreement with AAA, which by that point was only 5 years old. Not much came of the agreement except for what happened at that year's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Along with matches featuring your standard WWF superstars, the show's undercard was padded with matches featuring the stars of AAA. The location was a perfect fit, as San Antonio, where the pay-per-view took place, was only a couple of hours away from the Mexico border. In the Rumble match itself, fans saw Cybernetico, Latin Lover, and Pierroth all get a shot, but the biggest performer of the group was Mil Mascaras, a name as synonymous with Lucha Libre as El Santo or Blue Demon. The men got to show off some good lucha things, especially Mascaras, who not only eliminated 2 of his fellow countrymen, but also himself when diving to the outside onto Pierroth, ensuring that he alone would be the only person he would yob to. The WWF AAA partnership ultimately went nowhere, and we never saw these guys used prominently in the company again. Before I present the top entry, here are a few honorable mentions. Fake Diesel and Razor Ramon, 1997. The Fake Diesel and Razor Ramon debuted in September of 1996 after initially being hyped up as if Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were actually coming back to the company. Instead, it was a way to take a shot at the recent defectors and to try to justify a pointless Jim Ross heel turn. It went over about as well as you might think. The last on-air appearance for either character took place at the 1997 Royal Rumble. In a real moment of irony, the fake Razor Ramon was involved in one more Rumble match than the actual Razor Ramon. And though the Dollar Store Diesel lasted the longest in the match, second only to Bret Hart, he'd go on to be the last one legally eliminated before Steve Austin would pull a fast one and earn his tainted victory. Rick Bogner, the man who portrayed Razor, would be gone from the company by February, while Fake Diesel would be given his most successful gimmick just 9 months later. Drew Carey, 2001. Though this man is unquestionably the strangest entrant in Rumble match history, I felt it was too easy to put him in the #1 spot and wanted to focus on the actual wrestlers who've been involved over the years. The actor, comedian, and TV host made history in 2001, some would say for the wrong reasons, when he was put into that year's Royal Rumble match to promote his upcoming improv special on pay-per-view. Carey stood alone in the ring for a good 30 seconds or so before being confronted by Kane. After his attempt at a bribe went nowhere, it looked as if that was the end for the future Price is Right host before being saved by Raven. A Hall of Fame-worthy performance if ever there was one. And the number 1 most obscure Royal Rumble entrants are the Squat Team, Takao Omori, and Doug Gilbert, 1996. It seems that when WWE wants to put some random people into a Royal Rumble, they don't just do it once or twice in a match. How about 4 guys at once, the second year in a row no less? We lead off with Takao Omori, who may now be considered a well-respected veteran of Japan, but by 1996 he was only 4 years into his career in All Japan Pro Wrestling. Entering at number 11, Omori would last a little under 3 minutes before being eliminated by Triple H and Jake Roberts and was never seen on WWF TV again. At number 14 came Doug Gilbert, who's perhaps best known for 3 things: being the son of Tommy Gilbert, being the brother of Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, and for shooting on his boss on his own TV program in 1999.
And Jerry Lawler, you raped a little 13-year-old girl!
Come on!
Gilbert earned his spot in the Rumble match after winning a Battle Royal at a USWA event in Memphis, a huge opportunity given to him by Jerry Lawler. Gilbert responded by showing up late to the biggest booking of his life, then lasted for all of 3 minutes before it was Vader time. Finally, right after Gilbert arrived the Squat Team, a pair of large brothers formerly known as the Headhunters in Japan, ECW, and CMLL. Their time in the ring was ridiculously brief, as Squat Teamer number 1 was taken out by Vader in about a minute, and Squatter number 2 was eliminated by Yokozuna in less than 30 seconds. If that appearance wasn't unimpressive enough, the 2 men were brought back that June as the Arabian Butchers, running in on a match between Owen Hart and the British Bulldog and the Headbangers. The brawl saw one of them getting body slammed immediately, which was not a good look, and both of them constantly adjusting their gear. Oh, they squatted all right. They popped a squat right in the middle of the damn ring and were never seen in the WWF again. The AAA partnership may have been fruitless, but at least there was a common thread connecting all those guys. By comparison, this bizarre assortment added little to the match and even less to the overall fabric of the WWF, and that's why these guys are the most obscure Royal Rumble entrants in history. Got anyone I missed? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.
There's gonna be some trouble tonight. A very royal rumble. That's right. We'll step into the ring. We'll reach an understanding. When the smoke is clear, the last man standing.